Hi friends, today's topic of current affairs is aggregation in agriculture. Aggregation in agriculture sector. Agriculture sector is very important sector and it is the backbone of the country. Though the contribution of agriculture sector, and if at all I want to say agriculture and its allied sectors, though it is 18 to 20% of your GVA, but almost 50% of the people are depending on this sector, and this sector's growth is very important for country. When I say agricultural growth, that means how much amount of production that we are doing every day, every year. So whether it is in terms of the cereals, pulses, oil seeds, fruits, vegetables, plantation crops, horticulture crops, whether it is about the dairy products, poultry products, meat, fish. So these are all part of this agriculture and allied sectors. And whenever there is a good amount of growth, then definitely our farmers will get some sort of benefit and it will help the overall economy. But what is the meaning of this growth of agriculture sector? So how can we increase the growth? Because the term growth in agriculture sector is having two different connotations. One is by increasing the volume of production, second one is increasing the value of production. The volume increases also, it is a growth. Okay, to some extent volume is increasing, but mostly if the value is increasing, again it is a growth. So growth can be by both volume and value. The important aspect is suppose volume is increasing and we have to increase the volume. To what extent we can increase the volume? And we need to start new units, or we need to bring the more area into cultivation, and we need to use some sort of new technology so that we can increase the yield. That is how you can increase the volume. When it comes to the value, value can be increased if we reduce the losses, that means if we minimize the losses, if you add some sort of value to that product, that means if you process it or if you pack it and if you try to sell it at a far places, then definitely you can increase the value. So either if you increase the volume or if you increase the value, you can call it as growth. But can we really increase the volume beyond a particular point? Because this is not a production, this is not a manufacturing production, and this is something has to happen naturally. You can't exploit the nature to the maximum possible extent. There is some limitation, and the volume can be increased, but volume has its own constraints. Certain amount of growth is possible, and it cannot be like today I am producing 100, tomorrow I will make it to 200. It's not possible. It has its own constraint. Then how come you will increase the agriculture growth? By increasing the value of this. If you increase the value, then that indicates that agriculture sector is also growing, because absolute number, it's a total the price or the worth of that produce what we are producing. But there is another important thing. In order to increase the volume and in order to increase the value, if you spend a lot of amount of money, that means the difference between output and input, if it is low, then there is no use for the farmer. If the difference between output and input is low, that means if the profit is low, then it will be very difficult for the farmers. They don't want to cultivate and they don't want to be in this profession or in this activity. So they will leave. And if they leave, do they have any other alternative? No. If they don't have other alternative, then where they will completely will be there in the entire economic ladder? Again, it will be at the lower rung of the economic system. So the point is, if you looking into this agriculture sector, if at all we want to grow the sector, first of all we have to increase the volume of that sector. Second one is you need to increase the value of that sector. Third one is you must make sure that the person involved in this production process should get enough amount of profit. Either you need to increase the output value or you need to reduce the input value. Either you need to increase the output value or you need to reduce the input value. If you are able to bring these three changes, then we can certainly call it as a growth in agriculture sector. Then what is the meaning of this aggregation in agriculture sector? See, in order to achieve these three objectives, this aggregation is very, very important. Aggregation is nothing but combination, combining. What is this combination? What is this combination? Why you need a combination? That means why you need an addition of people. Aggregation is nothing but the same thing. See, there was an idea we have started in the 1950s and 1960s called collective farming. Collective farming, and it was happened in Russia and it was happened in China. At that point of time it was USSR. At that point of time, collective farming means you are having some amount of land. This entire land was put together and you need to cultivate on a huge amount of land. And on a huge amount of land, definitely you will get the more profits. You will get the more profit because the area is high and you no need to spend lot of amount of money. We have tried to test this model, but it was failed in India. This collectivization process has not so successful in India and we have abandoned with that. That too, if you looking into the Indian social conditions, like earlier when land was completely in the hands of the landlords, and because of some social revolutions happened across the country, and because of the land reforms taken by the government of India, the land has been distributed from landlords to the landless people. Now again, if you ask for this collectivization of the land, these people don't believe that because they may take away their land. That is what their apprehension. That is the reason why even the poor farmers, though they are not having enough productivity, that means they are unable to bring lot of amount of food grains from the whatever the small piece of land whatever they are having, but still they don't want to go with this collectivization, because in our society land is a status of it's a status symbol. It's a status symbol. That's the reason why there is a problem. So that we cannot do, and whoever the farmers, they are interested and they are having the mutual trust, definitely they will go, but as a matter of policy, government cannot take it up. Then what is this aggregation means? This aggregation means it's not about the production. This aggregation means not about production. And whereas when it comes to the aggregation, though suppose if you don't have the, if you don't want to combine your land with other lands, at least make a collective decision. Come together and at least make a collective decision. And if you make a collective decision, yes, okay, suppose just assume like in our village, total 500 acres are there, and in order to have the demand for all the products, okay, let first 200 acres they will go for rice, next 100 acre they will go for chili, next 50 acres they will go for tomato, next 100 acres they will go for, like, if they plan like that, then it's okay. So physically they are not coming up, physically they are not merging their lands, or they are not going for this collectivization as far as farming is concerned, but at least they are making a collective decision. That aggregation may help to some extent. And sometimes aggregation happened in a different way. Suppose this is for decision making, and if not for decision making, and we have also started an organization called cooperatives, where we are having an organization, in that we will distribute the fertilizers in a collective manner, we will distribute the pesticides in a collective manner, we will distribute the seeds in a collective manner. If there is any machinery, we will use accordingly our own the cultivation schedule. So that is how we used to do. That means still some sort of aggregation is happening. But whatever the aggregation is happening in our country is only confined to this production process, that too in a limited area. I am not saying like this, whatever the mutual cooperation or the aggregation is happening everywhere. It's not happening. It's not happening. Now, whatever the thing that is happening in the small parts of the country, that too as far as only production is concerned, it is not at all sufficient. It's not at all sufficient. And moreover, actually when it comes to the agricultural cultivation, farmers are not interested in this sort of aggregation. They are saying like they have their own interest and they can go for their own crop. Now what way we can really make this possible? Aggregation. And one more thing I will tell you, if you looking into the land holdings of the country, almost 88% of the land holdings, that means 88% of the farmers in this country are owning an land between 0.5 hectare to 2 hectare, that means small and marginal farmers. 88% of the farmers are small and marginal farmers, and their piece of land is so small, they can't bring innovation, they can't bring new machinery, they can't bring innovative cultivation practices, they don't have technology, they don't have much credit facilities. So it's not possible for them. They are growing what they know and they grow what they want, and generally they will go with the mood of the people. Suppose in a village, if the farmers are saying like no, this is going to have a good amount of return, normally people go for that. So if you looking into the land holding, the size is this much, people are unable to come together, because they don't have an idea about the future prospects of this sector and all, but they know how to do the cultivation, and in total their productivity is less, and at the same time the value what they are getting is less. Now at this point, that means at this juncture, we need to talk about this aggregation in agriculture sector. Once you understand the entire scenario of agriculture, now we can talk about this aggregation in agriculture. Now you need to bring the different players, and these players will bring all the agricultural commodities or all the farmers together. Then we can expect a good results. So how we are going to bring that aspect, now we will discuss. One important aspect that we can bring is, we need to add value to the agricultural commodities, reduce the input cost. Reduce input cost. These are the two important aspects, and in order to fulfill these two, we are bringing technology aggregators. So what is this technology aggregators? Do you think that individuals have a capability to own this technology? Today we are bringing lot of new machinery, and it will make the cultivation process so simple. But does a farmer of 0.5 hectare or 1 hectare or 2 hectare, is he really in a position to use this technology? From where he will get these fertilizers and subsidies? So that is why we wanted to use the technology in order to increase the value and as well as reduce the cost of the input for the agriculture sector. And what is this technological intervention? This technological intervention, earlier governments with its different programs under Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana and along with the agricultural universities and Indian Council of Agriculture Research, they have brought something, and ICRISAT, they have brought something. But whatever the research that we are doing or whatever the reforms that we are bringing, it's not enough. It's not enough for increasing the income of the farmers or to increase the overall the productivity or the production value of the agriculture sector. So that's the reason why we are bringing a technology startups. So these technology startups are important. Technology startups are very, very important. Because of this land holding size, but because of less size, we can't improve our agriculture both in terms of scale and even we cannot bring them together. So that is the reason why now we are bringing a new concept called technology startup. So what this technology startup is going to do? This technology startups are going to provide some sort of interesting solutions. So what are the different type of interesting solutions that they are bringing for the agriculture sector? So what they are doing is, there are different type of technologies. There are different type of startups that they are coming in the agriculture sector. One type of technology, because if I want to give a number about these agricultural startups, I think more than 1300 agricultural startups were started in our country. More than 1300 agricultural startups are started in our country. And even if you are looking into the investment into the agriculture sector, it has increased by 9 times between 2014 and 2019. That means in 5 years, the investment into these agricultural startups has increased by 9 times. If at all I want to give a number, from 2014 to 2019, earlier it was $0.2 billion, but now $0.2 billion, but now it has become $1.7 billion. And if at all I want to give that number in the year 2021, that is $2.1 billion. This is the level of investment that is coming into this agriculture sector. Okay, $2.1 billion. And our estimation, like this will go up to $24 billion by 2025. Why actually there is a huge estimation? The estimation is like farmers are there, they are small farmers, they don't know how to find the better ways for the improvement of their own lives. And now we are bringing a technological startups. Now they are aggregating, that means they are giving the services to the farmers and thereby they are bringing the farmers together. And these people are also providing the technology. Suppose I'll give an example so that you can understand. There are some startups started in our country. What they are going to do is, they will connect the farm with the retailer. That means some farmers, they are growing some fruits or some vegetables in their field. Just assume 3 farmers. They are growing fruits and vegetables in their field. The point is, if they go individually, they cannot find the better market. And if everyone grows the same crop, they don't get the proper market, they don't get the proper price. So the point is, the farmers are growing, but they are unable to come together to market themselves. There are some organizations in our country called food producing organizations, or we can call it as cooperative societies. Cooperative societies. And apart from cooperatives, you are having small farmer agri-business consortium. This is also there under the ministry. But these organizations are not giving enough benefit to these farmers. The whole purpose of this entire thing is whoever the producers are there, they must come together and then their bargaining power increases. But because of another reason, they are not coming together and these systems are not working well, and cooperatives are working well to some extent in different sectors, like mostly in dairy sector. Now what we are doing is we are starting a technological startup, and what they are doing is they are connecting the farms with the retailers. Now here this technological startup is there. So what this startup will do is, this startup will purchase the purchase the fruits and vegetables from the farm, and they will link themselves with some retail shops or retail consumers. Now their purpose is to go to the farm and collect it and make it a good package, and you can send it to the farmers within a stipulated time. If it is late, no, then they are perishable commodities, and those values may come up. Those values may come down. So that is the reason why you need to supply these fruits and vegetables immediately to the people. And here this startup is bringing some sort of scientific technologies. That means immediately, once that whatever the fruits and vegetables are plucked from the whatever the plants, then immediately it has to be cleaned and it has to be stored in a proper way in a cold chain, and you have to pack it in a proper manner, and you have to use some cold chain technique, and with that you need to bring it to the retail. And by that time you need to take the demand, you need to get the demand of what are the retailers by using how much they need, and based on that information, you need to give the information to the farmers, like today I need this much amount of volume of the fruits and vegetables, so that they will pluck it from the plants and then you can supply it. Instead of harvesting the entire crop in one go and bringing all the crops to the market, everyone, and you are looking for the demand, and when everyone has harvested the entire crop, and if they brought into the market, then there is a huge supply in the market, and automatically the demands come down and the prices comes down. It is not going to help the farmer. So even in the cooperative sector, even in the food produce organizations, the point is not everyone is so scientific enough. They are saying like they have a collective bargaining, but the collective bargaining is there, but the point is, can that collective bargaining decides the market and supply market forces? The market forces can only be met through the proper demand and supply. And here some technological aggregates or some technological startups, they are coming, they are bringing some sort of technology, and by using the technology they are estimating the demand and supply, thereby they are these people will get some profit, but here the farmers will get a continuous demand, and so that these retailers will be given a continuous supply. So we are linking the farmers together with a particular organization or with a particular agency and with some technological intervention. So is it not going to help the farmers? Yes. So this is what aggregation, by using the technology. Second one, this is farm to retail, I said. Now the second type of technology, what type of different technologies that we can use it? Connecting farmers with markets. Here it is directly to the retailers. But here markets. Some of the products that cannot be consumed directly by the retailers. Suppose I am growing a paddy, Now can I sell that paddy directly to anybody? No, because people are not ready to purchase except in rural areas, because they will go to the mill and they can convert that paddy into rice. But most of the people interested in taking the direct rice, then you need to sell it to the market. And here also again the startup, technological startup, it is assessing the supply and demand in the market, and so that it is connecting the farmers with these whatever the market forces, because in the market there are some people ready to purchase it. So this is a technological intervention, a different type of startup. These type of startups are already working in India. And there are some startups, they will connect the farmers with the input suppliers. Input suppliers. So input suppliers in the sense, they may be seed supplier, they may be fertilizer supplier, they may be pesticide supplier, anyone else, anyone. So these technological platforms or these technological startups, they are connecting the farmers with these input supplies, so that based on the demand they can connect these people to that farmers, they can connect these suppliers with the farmers, so that the farmers will get a continuous supply of inputs without much change in the fluctuation of the prices, without much change in the fluctuation of the prices. So that means, is it reducing the input cost of the farmers? Yes. Next, there are some technological startups that are connecting farmers with the market prices. That means now everyone is having this digital technology, everyone is using the mobiles, and everyone is having some sort of this telecommunication facility. To some extent now it is improving. Now we are using that as a means for giving some information to the farmers with respect to the weather condition, with respect to the price volatility in the market, so that based on that price volatility they will decide their own harvesting season. Otherwise, simply if they bring to the market and once it comes to the market they do not have a proper rate, then they can't take that whatever the produce back again. Suppose if they think that the price is not good, then immediately they will store somewhere, or they will delay the harvesting process. And based on the atmospheric information, whatever you are getting, weather information, based on that, either when it comes to the harvesting, or whether it is comes to the sowing, or whether it is come to any of the agricultural related activity, they will take it up. So that means here, by using the technology as a means, the agricultural farmers, they are coming together, and they are taking some collective decisions, and collective decision is happening because of these new interventions. And some people are enrouted to a particular market, some people are enrouted to a particular industry, particular food processing industry. So this is necessary today, and it is not only happening in case of this agriculture, this is also happening in agriculture allied sectors. It is connecting the poultry farmers, again with the retailers or some whatever the shops or consumers directly. So now this person takes these poultry products from different poultry farms. The same thing is happening in case of fish, the same thing is happening in case of meat. So the point is, when farmers individually do their production activity, and if they try to sell individually, if they try to purchase the commodities individually, if they try to take the loans individually, when there is no aggregation happen, definitely we cannot expect a much progress in the agriculture sector, both in terms of value, both in terms of volume, both in terms of profit. Now this is a new technological intervention, by using we can reduce the cost and we can get the more value. And the same logic applies, there is some sort of startup, and they are trying to provide some sort of loans to the farmers. This is what some startups are doing. And even now the Kisan drones are also coming. Kisan drones. That means one startup will have the drone facility with them, and which whoever needed, and they will supply the drone so that they will spray the fertilizers, or suppose if the crop is very valuable, then they can go for the surveillance activity also. So the fertilizers, pesticides and surveillance activity you can use it. Suppose do you think that an individual farmer can purchase the drone? No, it's not possible. The farmers has to come together and they have to purchase one thing and they can use it accordingly. But farmers are not coming. But these technological startups, they can provide that aggregation activity. So the point is, the technological startups, whatever they are coming and whatever I have explained, they are all now they are all functioning. It's not something like we need to do this, but the point is their scope is confined to western and southern part of India, but you need to bring it to the northern and eastern and northeastern part of India. Even in the western and southern Indian part also, the scale has to be increased. So whether it is about the fertilizers, whether it is about the finances, whether it is about the supplying it to the retailers, whether it is about the marketing, whether it is about the pricing, whether it is about the drones, whether it is about the any mechanization devices, whether it is about fishery, whether it is about meat. So on these aspects, the technological startups are definitely offering this aggregating solutions. So, and even some of the startups, they are coming up with these soil testing lab facilities. You have to go to the government testing lab and you have to do, but no one knows and no one is having any. Suppose if a technological startup, and if suddenly with a mobile laboratory, if they come to the village, immediately all the farmers come together and do it. But can a really individual farmer go somewhere and he can test? If it is really accessible to him, it's okay, but otherwise no. But can a farmers come together and they can start a new laboratory? Because our farmers are poor farmers, they can't start it. So that means you need to understand the overall thing is the aggregation should happen, and whatever the traditional model of aggregations like cooperatives or FPOs or any other thing, they are not working to some extent, they are working only to some extent, but they are not giving enough results. But this technological intervention is one of the way through which we can make this aggregation possible. So, and even some of the startups can perform in supply chain aspects. Some of the startups can works in supplying this laboratory or the mechanized equipment to them. Some of them are giving in digital information, whether it is about the weather or whether it is about the price volatility or whether it is about the demand in the market. So likewise, now they can come together and the aggregation may happen. But this aggregation, is it really that simple to happen? Because it's a technological revolution and we need to start the units at the rural area, we need to create the awareness in the rural area. And it's not only about that, we have started a new different scheme called ENAM. This ENAM is one technique to aggregate the farmers. So what is this ENAM? ENAM is nothing but individually the farmers cannot sell somewhere individually, but now they are coming to a particular place called a e-market, that means e-national agricultural marketing, a particular market where you have a digital system, and with this digital system you can find out the market outside your particular place. Suppose if you are from this state, you can find the market in other state also. This is a point of connection, this is a point of source. But can you really individually go on searching for the entire country that whether you can find the good rate or not? It's not possible. So this aggregation is happening. But the problem with this ENAM is, actually they are coming here and they are able to find the market somewhere. But unfortunately, neither this market, neither these people who are purchasing nor the farmers who are selling, they don't have an enough capacity to transport this product from here to here. They are considering like it's huge amount of cost for them, because the law says like this person has to bear the entire the transportation cost. So they are not interested to purchasing from here because it is cost for them and farmers, they don't have the capacity. But you have created a system, through that system they are able to see the good players. Now here we are bringing another technological startup. They are having their own network, and in that network what they are doing, so wherever the farmers are there and they are showing the whatever the people who are going to purchase it, and they are collecting it from farmer and they are supplying it to these people, and thereby they are getting some margin. That means the existing system which are meant for the aggregation are also not working to the fullest advantage. So why can't you bring these technological startups even in this activity, that means in the marketing, so that they can supply it to the proper places and thereby the farmers will get a good amount of remunerative price. So this is what a technological intervention, this is what aggregation. So though these farmer produced organizations and the small farmer agribusiness consortium, they have registered themselves with the ENAM, but because of this logistic facility, because of the packaging facility, because of the weighing and grading, then most of the states this ENAM is confined to intrastate transfer but not interstate. Because whenever you are supplying it to the foreign country, you cannot simply sell whatever the items that you have, you cannot simply items in a way which they have brought to the market, because the time from here to they reach here, it loses its value, because some are perishable and even some are not perishable. You have to pack it in a proper way, and that grading, packaging must be done. And who has to do that? Who is taking care here? No, no one is taking. It is just a platform. Do you think that the government has to do that all this activity? No. But if you really bring that grading, and if you really maintain that quality, if you maintain that packaging facilities, and if you are able to create such a logistic facilities with your own business proposals in an innovative way, then definitely these will become success, and both the farmers and as well as the market, whatever the people who are purchasing, they both will satisfy and both will get some sort of benefit, and here these agricultural startups will also get the benefit. So this is what aggregation, this is what aggregation. So that means the traditional model of aggregation is not working well to the advantage of the farmer. Now instead of government, or instead of, because some people are saying like farmer has to motivate themselves, farmers has to motivate themselves, they must come together and they must take their own decisions. But the point is, will really the farmers take that decision? What is the capacity of the farmer? How much amount of land that he is having, how much amount of production that he is making, how much quality he is maintaining? So these are all the problems. So that is why these technological startups will bring some sort of solution to that. But unfortunately the reach of these technological startups are not high, they are not high. I already told, like in the western and southern part of India to some extent they are there, but when it comes to the eastern part of India, central part of India, northern part of India, northeastern part of India, they are not so high, they are not so high. So the point is, you need to bring these type of institutions, you need to bring these type of companies, and the existing institutions like cooperative societies and the small farmers agribusiness consortium, yes, they must improve their performance, they must appoint the professionals, they must change their working styles, they must compete, they must introduce some technological solutions, then only they can compete, then only they can compete, and then only they can really provide the benefit to the farmers. Otherwise they can't produce. Suppose you have taken the example of this Amul, how success it is? Do you think that it is just because the farmers has come together? No, they have brought some technological solutions. They have tried to add value to the products. They have tried to find the demand in the market. They have improved their logistic facilities. They are able to assess the demand and supply. They are able to export. So that thing must be done, but can it be done automatically by the individual farmers, and can it be done by the government? Can it be done by the existing societies, or can we bring these type of solutions because they are the new entrepreneurs, they are interested in bringing these solutions. When they are interested in bringing the solutions, we can bring those people so that they can aggregate the farmers, and that will really bring the good results. Now if you see the some of the startups, whatever they are coming, these new startups that they are coming, technological startups in agriculture sector, they are, some of them are the offshoots of the existing cooperatives. That means they have seen how the business is happening in the cooperatives, what are the problems that the cooperative is facing, and they are coming up with their own solution and they are starting their own business. So this is what how the aggregation will happen. This is how the aggregation will happen. So this is one. Instead of arguing like farmers should come together and farmers should produce collectively and farmers should bargain collectively, but this collectivization what we are talking about, this whatever the collectivization through self motivation may not be a possible aspect, and if at all aggregation happen, that might happen, that should happen in this way, then only it will give good results. The next important point is this contract farming. This contract farming is also an important aggregation technique. Contract farming means normally whatever I say, like all the people should come together and they have to cultivate it combinedly, that anyway you can't do. But with this contract farming, what we can do is we can make sure that that aggregation will happen in the production process. And what is this contract farming? Contract farming, in this contract farming, a contractor will sign a contract with the farmer, and what he will do, he will say like I'll supply so and so, I'll supply so and so type of seeds, I will give some fertilizers and I'll give some credit to you, and this type of some technological assistance also I will do, but the only thing is you have to cultivate these seeds of this particular grade in your farm and sell it to me after harvesting and at a particular so and so price. And how much quantity that you can supply to me, suppose it's a 1 acre of land, the average productivity just assume like it is 20 quintal, so they are going to provide 20 quintal, and he is going to give all type of the whatever the requirements. And who is he? And this contractor, either he may be a trader, or he may be an exporter, or he may be a food processor, can be anything. When he do the business at a bigger scale, he will get the profit, and for that he is collectivizing the farmer. That means he is bringing the farmers together and he is supplying the same thing to the different farmers. Now the farmers are cultivating the same crop, but they are having an assured market. That assured market is this contractor. And sometimes you will grow the crop on your own, you don't know what type of demand is going to be there and you don't know where to sell. But here, suppose if these three people sign an agreement with a contractor, then they will find the better market. So this is what contract farming. This contract farming is also going to help the agriculture sector. And unfortunately, recently when Union government brought this legislation, because of some or other reasons, now they have taken it back. But there was a model law on contract farming which was circulated in the year 2003. The state of Punjab enacted its own the contract farming act, but unfortunately they could not implement it. The Tamil Nadu government has passed a contract farming act in the year 2019, but it was taken back by the present government recently last year. So that means the main problem is that we don't believe these people. We don't believe these contractors. We don't believe the business people who are involving in this. We always think like they will loot the farmers. They will give less amount of money to the farmers. But we always think like they are coming in only big way, but these technological startups can also bring and can also come and they will participate. So the main problem to this aggregation is we don't want to introduce the private people into this sector. That is the one major problem that this country is facing. Because of some experiences we have in this country and we don't want to believe these private people. And because of that reason, these private people are not entering, and because of this private people are not entering, the aggregation is not happening. Because of this aggregation is not happening, the farmers are doing completely, the farmers are going for agriculture and other activities individually without linking one to another. There is no cooperation, there is no proper planning, there is no proper supply of inputs to them. So that is the reason why there is no enough increase in terms of both volume and enough increase in terms of value, and moreover there is no enough profit for the farmers. Because governments are giving a slogan called doubling the farmers' income. How will you make the farmers' income double? You have to provide the market facilities, you have to provide the value added facilities, you have to reduce the input cost, and this can be done only if you do it a massive scale, and that too when aggregation is happening. And without doing that, if you just increase the MSP price and if you claim that just because my MSP is 50% of the cost of production, so it's automatically increases the farmer's income, that notion is something wrong. So that will be developed only if you bring this contract farming system. If you bring some people and they will aggregate the farmers, either it can be a business, either it can be an business people involved in this, or it can be an agricultural startups, So the point is, it is very difficult for the farmers to access to the national market. It is very difficult for the farmers to get the inputs at an affordable rate, and only when these farmers aggregate, then only they will get, and this aggregation will be done by some of the aggregators in the economy, and that aggregators are these technological startups or these private people. So this is something about the aggregation in agriculture sector, and whatever the apprehension that we have in our mind, that too these apprehensions of some 50 years back or 70 years back, those doesn't work now, because we have tried our level best to resolve the problems of the farmers. But now the agriculture has become a business activity. Agriculture is a private business, and always the agricultural sector's prospects are completely depending on the market forces. When your prospects of agricultural sector is depending on the market forces, then there must be a mechanism in between the market and the farmer, those who can forecast the market conditions at an appropriate time, thereby they can balance the supply and demand. Then only the farmers will get the good amount of price. But if you just have an apprehensions like whether it is corporates, whether it is the large players, they are greedy, they will completely exploit the farmer. So if you don't want to allow, then what is the alternative that you can propose to the farmers? You don't have any other alternative to propose. Do you think that the governments are going to do this activity? Do you think that government can implement technological solutions? So that is not going to work, and even some of the farmers lobbying and farmers organizations also not interested to these type of solutions. But perhaps I can say these are the only solution that can solve the problems of the country. So by creating proper infrastructural facilities, by bringing proper technological aspect into the agriculture sector, and by infusing huge amount of capital, by bringing these aggregators into the agriculture sector, you can really increase, because we can properly assess the market, and based on the demand in the market we can supply, and that will reduce the vagaries that the agricultural farmers are facing. And the same logic applies to the poultry, the same logic applies to the fisheries, the same logic applies to the meat and other things. Because some of the products are perishable, you need to have a proper packaging, you need to have a proper grading, you need to have a proper storage, and you need to supply it in an appropriate time. For that you need to have a good logistic facility. And if you think like this can be done automatically, or if you think like the governments are in a better position to take up this activity, then this cannot be solved, this problem cannot be solved. So that is the reason why you understood the problems in the agricultural sector. Now you understood what are the technological solutions that we can offer in order to save the agriculture sector from this whatever the volatilities and whatever the problem that the present sector is facing. So now you understood the solutions, and you understood the problems in implementing the solutions, and you have understood it better if you understood better when the government has brought the farm related legislations. So that is the reason why this aggregation in agricultural sector is still a challenge. Still it is a challenge, though the government is trying to bring some sort of solutions by bringing some private players and technological solutions, but still because of the inherent nature or the inherent sentiments that were there in the economy with respect to these private people, especially in the agriculture sector, the aggregation in agriculture sector is still a challenge. But by accepting it as still a challenge, but the solution lies only in this technological infusion, capital infusion, bringing aggregates into the agricultural sector. That only can save the country, because some producer companies are there, some cooperatives are there, around more than 5,000 organizations are there, but unfortunately they are not working to the advantage of the farmers. They are not working to the advantage of the farmers. So this is what the aggregation in agricultural sector, and why aggregation is a challenge in the agriculture sector, and in what way we can bring the aggregation in agriculture sector, because the solution lies in that. So this is something about aggregation in agriculture sector. Thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.